The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online, a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not, no retribution, and where you should be subscribing to my Twitter feed, twitter.com/GaryBaumgarten, for all the news you need to know to make yourself a more informed citizen of the world. Stories that you may or may not hear, see, or watch or read in the mainstream media. And thanks to our great friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Iran. I'm really concerned about Iran. Iran's supposed to meet with the P5, the permanent 5 members of the United Nations, +1, Germany, in Geneva on Thursday. And they keep sending different messages. Oh, yes, we'll open the doors to this new nuclear plant, which we covertly created and which is too large to be a plant for energy purposes. And then, well, maybe we won't, or yeah, we will. We'll tell you what the timetable will be. To now, they're saying that they're, according to PressTV, their state-run news media, that they are refusing to discuss the nuclear program during the Geneva talks. PressTV reports this: that when they come to the table on Thursday, they're going to demand that the other nations live up to their obligations to reduce their nuclear arsenals. You see, that's a more important issue than their development of nuclear weapons. And so they're going to try to switch the focus from themselves to the other nations. There's some real question about where Russia is going to stand on this. Yes, there was unanimity on the resolution before the Security Council that was introduced by the United States. The vote taken at a Security Council meeting presided last week by Barack Obama, the first president of the United States to preside over such a meeting in the history of the Security Council. So that would give some indication that Russia may very well be at least in favor of sanctions, frankly. I was more heartened by the president saying that the military option was not off the table when asked last week at the G20, because ultimately that may be what it takes, sadly, military action against Iran if they don't open that plant up to inspection. I lack faith in the Security Council. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council determine what the United Nations will do. Yeah, they can reach unanimity on a resolution that has no teeth to it. But when it comes time to actually bite down and take action, you can always count on one of them to dissent, at least one of them, whether it's Russia or China. And that's the end of it, because the permanent members of the Security Council have veto power. Look, we cannot afford for this to happen, and I will explain to you why. Right now, in spite of what Iran is trying to say, the fact that there are other nations in the nuclear arms family is not too terribly disconcerting. They have this thing called assured mutual destruction. The leaders of the various nations are aware of their responsibilities. They have them. It's a fait accompli. Things are pretty much on an even keel with regard to the nations who now have nuclear weapons. And by the way, even if those nations were to reduce their nuclear stockpiles to the agreed upon levels, as Ahmadinejad is insisting, they'll still have more than enough weapons at hand to not only kill each other off, but basically destroy life as we know it on this earth around the globe. So don't worry. We still have the ability to be on the eve of destruction if we want. So there are good checks and balances in place right now. There have been some close calls when there was nearly a nuclear strike over fear between the Russians and the Americans that the other was about to launch one. Each nearly preemptively struck the other at one time or another, but they've got that hotline now. The lines of communications are open. The general feeling is that even during the Cold War era, and things have thawed now somewhat, that the likelihood, at least in recent years, of an attack, a nuclear attack by any of the current members of the nuclear arms family is pretty minimal. And it's like I say, they already have the weapons. There's not much we can do about that, but we can ensure that there is no further proliferation of nuclear arms. When you have players like North Korea and Iran with nuclear arms in their possession, now you got a real problem. I mean, we saw the way the Iranians treated their own people following the election. And we saw Ahmadinejad speak to the United Nations General Assembly last week and say with a straight face, I was reelected by a wide margin. We all know that was a fixed election. It's obvious. So if he can do that, if he can bold-face lie the world when we have seen the reality of Iran, he can lie about his building a plant for peaceful purposes. If it is for peaceful purposes, then yesterday he should have opened it up to the IAEA inspectors. He has nothing to hide. Open the doors. Let them in. Show them that there's no attempts to weaponize. I think that all this stuff that they're throwing out now is an attempt to delay until it's too late. And here's what happens in particular if Iran gets the bomb. Not only have they threatened to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, not only have they been known to use their terrorist surrogates to wreak havoc in the Middle East and elsewhere, but what will happen if they develop nuclear arms, a whole bunch of Arab nations will want to be developing nuclear arms as well. They'll want to develop nuclear arms because they fear a nuclear-armed Iran. And they want assured mutual destruction. They want Iran to know that if their point